right. Looks like we're looking good here. And I'll just go ahead and say right now, welcome to the Fast Break Kids. I am Wiley Lewis, talking some Week 13 action. We had a lot of interesting games, a lot of very interesting results to go along with that. I think it's time to start worrying about a lot of teams. I think it's time to start weeding out the phonies, and there are some phonies, ladies and gentlemen, and I will tell you exactly who, if, and where are the butts. And there's Jared. Jared, we're not talking about the Suns, okay? You can't be wearing Phoenix Suns gear up in here.
You want to hear about the Suns?
You want to hear about the Suns, bro? No, you don't. Nobody wants to hear about the Suns right now. It's not good.
Trade Trevor Ariza.
Trade Ryan Anderson.
Trade Ryan Anderson.
Nobody's going to take those two. Nobody's going to take that trade.
We're
talking about football.
Someone will take Ariza. He's a playoff. They can make a playoff push with him.
Oh, we're talking about football, though. And let's start in the big, I think the biggest story right now, Green Bay and Arizona, Mike McCarthy getting fired. And I think we're all waiting for this to happen. It's been coming for a while. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterback talents in the league, one of the best quarterbacks in history, and they're pretty much wasting him right now, and it's pretty sad to watch. So, Packers fans, it's a bummer. I don't think you're actually bummed out by it. I know I wouldn't be. I think it's a bummer that the season is pretty much down the toilet now. Them moving to 4-7-1 is not good. And then you've got the Cardinals who, you know, I guess they're not going for the draft pick. I guess it's good to see them still kicking. Chase Edmonds with 2 touchdowns. Josh Rosen looks good. He looks good. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people are down on the Cardinals and saying they're not good. They're not good, but Josh Rosen looks good, and you got to like their future. I really, really hope Larry Fitzgerald sticks around. I really think that next year they're not going to win a Super Bowl, unfortunately. I want Larry Fitzgerald to get that Super Bowl, but they are going to be better, and I think that they can build something really nice with this foundation with David Johnson, Josh Rosen. If they could just get a line. Just get a line, Arizona. Get a line, and you can really compete with a lot of teams and win a good amount of games because the defense is still talented. Let's move forward to the Ravens and Falcons game. Just a couple interesting things about this. First off, the Ravens, they keep their playoff lead, the 1 game ahead of the Dolphins, Colts, and a mess of other teams for that last wild card spot. Lamar Jackson played good enough. You know, technically this is his 3rd win. I don't know if you could say that they're winning because of him. I really don't. I think that they're winning off of defense mainly. It's a whole lot of defense. And geez, what happened to the Falcons? The Atlanta Falcons, I don't know what happened to them. What happened to the Falcons this year? You know, we had them in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. We know how that went down. And then we've got them at this point. Last year they made it into the playoffs, won the first game, went to LA. Or no, they beat LA, went to Philadelphia, lost. And now they're not even going to be in the playoffs. They're 4-8. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't know what happened to them. Matt Ryan theoretically has been healthy the whole year. They've had, you know, they haven't had Devontae Freeman, which has been an issue. I know the defensive injuries were the big killer. I know they were at the beginning of the season. But you would have hoped to have seen a veteran team like this kind of bounce back. And they have not at all. And for Baltimore to come in and pretty much beat them up during this game, and defense really took over and scored a touchdown near the end of it, knocked Matt Ryan around a lot. So Baltimore looks solid. They don't look great by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, they're above 500 again, and you got to feel good with their chances getting into the playoffs, especially looking at the other teams vying for that 6th spot. We'll get close to that. Actually, we're going to move into that right now with Denver at Cincinnati. Cincinnati on the way down. I personally am crying because on the inside because I picked them to win the NFC North or the AFC North, and they're not doing that. Just bad stuff happening in Cincinnati all along that roster with Dalton getting injured. You know, Joe Mixon has been a bright spot this year, but A.J. Green got hurt again in this game. He's got the toe injury. The defense has been awful, just the worst defense. And you have to imagine Marvin Lewis has to get fired. He has to. Right, Jared? I mean, he has to.
How long has he been there?
It's Marvin Lewis. He's been there for I think he's the only person who's been at the current team longer than him is Bill Belichick. And Belichick was with the Pats in like 2000.
I feel like back when it was like Carson and Chad Johnson, he was their head coach. Is that accurate?
He was.
That is a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
That's what, 13 years at least?
At least, yeah. And I can look that up at a different time, find out when. Let's just check it out right now. Marvin Lewis. I don't know how long he's been with them. Apparently, he's been their coach since 2003. Guys, that's like 15 years. It's time. It's time to stop. It's time to fire Marvin Lewis. You know, he had a good run. He's got the best record in Cincinnati history. He's been great for the franchise, but we're done. It's time to pull the plug. Marvin's done. You gotta. I mean, you've got too many good players on the offense, and they just need a shake-up. You know, eventually you get that feel for that team where it's like, it's getting stale, it's getting boring, it's bland. Something's got to shake it up, and I think the coaching change is what shakes it up. You look at teams like Chicago, who has had a resurgence just with a different coaching change. I know Mitchell Trubisky's gotten better, but the coaching change has been huge. You know, you had the Rams. The Rams roster was not that different from 2 years ago and last year. But what they did was they drafted Jared Goff, and they got a coach, Sean McVay, who's got a lot of energy. He's young, he's exciting, and he was able to get that team to get excited and motivated for that season. And they played great, and they're awesome right now. They just beat the Lions, and that is the next game to look at. Before I go to that, though, I just want to say, Broncos fans, get excited. I think this is a really good time to be excited as a Denver Broncos fan because you know what? Case Keenum is not your answer. He's not. Okay, technically, Jeff Driscoll had a better game statistically. I'm not saying that should be that interesting of a note, but Case Keenum is not the answer. However, the defense is really good still. The running back, Phillip Lindsay, undrafted. He's gonna break the undrafted rookie record rushing yards in a season. He's going to. I think the record is like 1,080 or something like that. I don't even know who it is that holds that record. I know LeGarrette Blount had like 1,000. It's time to get really excited about him if you're not already excited about him. You know, the defense is great. John Elway maybe knows how football works still. Maybe I know at the beginning of the season it was like John Elway should get fired. He should never be allowed in Denver again. I don't know. It was getting crazy. Case Keenum's not the answer, but he's a nice placeholder. You go draft a quarterback or you get a good younger quarterback in free agency. Look, Teddy Bridgewater is interesting for any team. As a Jaguars fan, I want him to go get Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know how that's going to shake out with him. I know there's a few good free agency choices. Tyrod Taylor will probably not be the guy for Denver because is he that much better than Case Keenum? I think he's better, but I don't know how much. Same thing with Jacksonville. I don't know if Tyrod's the answer. I think he's a nice quarterback. I've always liked Tyrod. I just don't think he does enough to win games. He does enough to get your team in position to win games, but I don't think we've really seen him as a game changer. Teddy Bridgewater could be. I don't know. I haven't seen Teddy Bridgewater play enough. Every time I've seen him play, though, he looks good. He would be worth a shot. Jameis Winston, I don't know what the Buccaneers are going to do with him moving forward. Interesting free agency option for a lot of different teams. I don't know if he's meant for Denver per se, but he's clearly got the talent. You just got to get him focused and to stop groping his Uber drivers.
Who
I know
his Uber driver?
Jameis Winston.
What's this guy doing? He takes nothing seriously at all.
Jameis Winston. But he's great. He's a great quarterback. He's got all the talent in the world. If he can just figure it out up here, you know, you got yourself a franchise quarterback, and I think Tampa Bay knew that going in, but they haven't really figured it out. Then again, Tampa Bay is not the best environment right there. They're not exactly molding and forming young players into being legends that they should be outside of Mike Evans. Now, Rams, Lions. Rams, I mean, I'm not going to go as far to say that they are the best team. Obviously, record-wise, they are. They did lose to the Saints in a really close game. I think it's a real toss-up. I know the Saints lost on Thursday to the Cowboys, which huge win for the Cowboys. Not a monumental loss for the Saints. I think obviously they lose a little bit of momentum, but it's not the end of the world for them. But for the Rams, I think, you know, we're looking at #1 seed. Lock it up. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. Let's look at that right now. They've got the Bears, Philly, Arizona, and the 49ers. So theoretically, they should win out. They should win out. I mean, the Bears are the only team there that should give them trouble. You know, the Eagles are the defending champs, but they look wounded right now. They look wounded. So I'm saying the Rams win at least 3 out of those last 4, finish 14-2. That should lock up the #1 spot. Assuming the Saints, you know, I don't know what the Saints record is. Let's look at the Saints record. Now I have to. New Orleans, they've got the Bucks, the Panthers, the Steelers, and the Panthers again. I think they lose one of those. I think they do. Getting the Panthers back, like, essentially back-to-back. 2 times within 3 weeks. I think they'll lose one of those. I think the Rams get the #1 seed. It's a good time to be a Rams fan. They look great. Lions kept up with them for the most part. I will say that. When is it time for us to kind of start questioning Matt Stafford? Because I'm ready to go. I got questions. I know that they can't run the ball very well. Kerryon Johnson's looked good. I think he was banged up. I don't think he played in this game, but I don't think Matt Stafford is taking the Lions anywhere. I know he's been very good. He's very talented. He's got a strong arm. He's played well as a career Lion, but like the Lions franchise, he always comes up short. These Lions games, they always play well, and they fall behind, and then they make like a big comeback near the end, and then it falls short. That's like been Matt Stafford's whole career with the Lions. Is that Matt Stafford's fault completely? No. The Lions are not usually that good. They haven't had that many good rosters around him. But that being said, he's loose with the ball. He throws it into double coverage and stuff way too much. He doesn't have Megatron to lean on anymore, and I think he's kind of been exposed since Johnson left. I did like the Matt Patricia hire, though. I think people are kind of crapping on him a little too early. Give the man a chance. I think he can help their defense mainly. If they could just get a running back, if they can get a good, strong running game, because Matt Stafford has never had that. And I think you give him that opportunity, I think he'd be able to flourish and maybe make some noise in the NFC North, which is kind of weak right now with how the Packers look. I don't know how they're going to be looking moving forward. And the Bears are pretty good, and then you've got the Vikings. So, you know, it's a tough division, but you never know. The Lions can surprise people from time to time. Let's move forward to the Bills, Dolphins. Just kidding. I'm not even going to bother with that because nobody cares about the Bills or the Dolphins. Bears, Giants. Hey. Giants beat the Bears in overtime. And they should have beat them in regular time, but Odell decided to just not sell out and go get that onside kick. Not that I'm going to hate on him. Okay, he's a primetime player. You need him healthy. You don't want Odell Beckham Jr. barreling into bodies to get onside kicks. I don't know what he's doing out there in the first place. I know it's the hands team, but there's a lot of angry guys running straight at him to try to get to that ball, and they don't have starting wide receiver potential. These are special teams guys who are just out there trying to fight for their job. So those are the guys that are willing to just smash their heads into people to get onside kicks. So I'm not going to sit here and question Odell's work ethic or his want to win. That being said, if he got that, it was over. So it was pretty bad to watch in slow motion. I think what does this mean for the Giants? I don't know. You know, they've got Eli Manning. I swear, if the Jaguars go and get Eli Manning, I will flip out. And we'll talk about the Jaguars in just a minute. The Giants played well against a good Bears team. Now, the Bears were not featuring Mitch Trubisky today. That could have been an issue because he is their starting quarterback, and he's played well this year. He's played very well. That's why they're 8-4 after this loss. They had Chase Daniel playing pretty well today. He had him in comeback mode near the end of the game. It fell short. Unfortunately, they went in overtime. You would have thought they had the momentum to get that victory. But you got to figure Giants, nice win. Doesn't mean anything for them moving forward. Saquon Barkley's still a beast, although I think he got injured at some point in this game, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But Odell looked great. He threw a touchdown. Eli Manning was good enough to win. But I don't know where you go forward with the Giants. You obviously got to draft a quarterback. I think they still got a lot of question marks on that roster, so we'll see how that goes moving forward. Let's move on. Let's go to the Jaguars game because I want to talk about the Jaguars real quick. This game was ugly. It was ugly. It was a beautiful Jacksonville defense win, 6-0. You know, at the end of Red Zone, I watched Red Zone. At the end of Red Zone, they show the touchdown montage. Every touchdown from the day. Jags Colts weren't on it at all. There were no touchdowns. 6-0. You had 2 field goals from Josh Lambo, and that was it. And it was beautiful, okay? Whether or not you want to debate the end of that game where Jalen Ramsey made that tackle and it should have run the clock or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the Colts are buns. They're so phony, and don't even think of them as a real threat. See, and here's the deal. I know people are like, well, Wiley, they're like 1 game behind for their last playoff spot. When I say phony, when I say buns, and I don't think that they're that good, I'm talking about, could they make a run in the playoffs? Could they do anything in January? Can they do anything in January? No, they can't. Okay? Let's say the Colts luck their way into the playoffs. Okay, they either play the Texans or they play the Patriots or the Steelers. They're not going to win that game. They're not going to win any of those games. They're just not. They don't have defense. They don't have the offensive firepower. I know they have made a lot of points and they've gotten a lot of yards this year, but they just don't have the juice to win a playoff game. They just don't. Now, Jaguars finally show their real defense. I think people are going to be really like, whoa, where's this defense been this whole year? Well, let's be honest, okay? They have been very good as a defense, okay? Look at the numbers. They've been very good as a defense overall. They just haven't been making the big plays, the big splash plays, the turnovers, all the sacks like they did last year. Why is that? Because they're on the field all the time. Okay, you look back last year, why were they so successful? The formula was put together perfectly. You had a great running back, a quarterback who could get it done, not necessarily dominate, but get it done. You had an offensive line playing extremely well. And if you go back to my predictions before last year, I said the Jaguars are good, but it depends on their offensive line. Their offensive line has notably been terrible before last year. They played exceptionally well. Fantastic. Fournette's able to run. They lead the league in rushing. What does that do for the defense? It keeps them rested. They're able to go in there, dominate, stay fresh, cause big plays, big turnovers where the offense is not in rhythm, and just destroy teams. And that's what we did last year. Won 10 games last year, went to the playoffs, went to the AFC Championship because that formula worked. Fast forward to this year. What went wrong, Wiley? Well, the offensive line is banged up. After they smoked the Patriots and they beat the Jets, they started looking good. Cam Robinson gets hurt. He's out for the season. That's your best offensive line. That's your best offensive lineman. Your left tackle, they lose their backup left tackle. They lose their a few weeks ago they lost the center for the year. They've been banged up all year. Andrew Norwell was out for a little while. It's been issues all throughout the offensive line. Well, what does that do? It allows the opposing defenses to absolutely get to Blake Bortles as fast as they want. He has no time. So don't tell me that Blake Bortles sucks when he's got zero time to get rid of the ball and find the open man. He's either going to get hit, sacked, or make a bad decision and throw it and force something because he's got to get rid of it. Why is that? Because they can't run the ball. Because they don't have a good offensive line. Leonard Fournette's been hurt the whole year. Okay. Then you look at the defense. The defense is out longer, and it caused a ripple throughout the whole team. But it was nice to see them get a W. It was nice to see them dominate the Colts, whom I totally dislike and I'm not all about. I can't stand them.
What?
And it was great. I know. It was great. It was great to see Tom Coughlin with like that old man, like unbridled joy that we
like where he accidentally hurts himself.
Right. Like he was like his whole body was like clenching so much from that victory that it like almost hurt him internally. But no, I love Tom Coughlin, and it was right. He is invincible. He is. But I loved it. It was a great win, and it was ugly as sin, but I loved it nonetheless because it was a W, and we'll take it. Now, moving forward, Jaguars need a quarterback. Like I said, Teddy Bridgewater would be nice. I know Tyrod Taylor's a name that might be thrown around. Jameis Winston's an intriguing option, very intriguing. I don't like the draft class. I'll be honest. I really don't. I really don't want them to draft anybody in this draft class. I don't think anybody there is a real difference maker. Then again, how would I know? I don't really watch a lot of college football. I just don't. The names that I'm hearing, I know like Herbert from Oregon, there's Locke from Missouri was a name that they're saying that the Jaguars could go for. I swear, if they pick another Missouri quarterback, I'll freak out because I'm still jaded from Blaine Gabbert. So excuse me for freaking out a little bit when I see that. Let's move forward. We got a few more games to tack on here. Buccaneers, Panthers. Bucs beat the Panthers. Panthers proving once again that they are still a really soggy, iffy, solid team that can win some games, but they're not really that dangerous for a deep run in the playoffs. They've got first round elimination written all over them if they even make the playoffs now, as they're, what is that, 6-6? Yeah, they're 6-6. That's embarrassing to lose that game to the Buccaneers, who really have done nothing all year, and they've been embarrassing, and Dirk Cutter should be on the way out. James Winston played well in that game, though. So Texans, Browns. Texans are phonies. I don't care if they've won 9 straight. I really don't. I think their roster is very talented. Don't get me wrong. They are easily top to bottom, offensively and defensively, I think, balance-wise, the most talented team in the AFC South. I think Jacksonville still has the better defense, talent-wise. Obviously, Leonard Fournette is a better running back, stuff like that. But Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback, and you've got Watson. You've got DeAndre Hopkins, who is one of the top, if not the best, wide receiver in the game. Guy makes crazy catches like nothing, like they're no big deal. I think beating up on the Browns is nothing spectacular. Big deal. I think they're phony. I don't think they go very far in the playoffs. If you're telling me that the Texans are going to beat the Steelers, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a better team than the Texans. And we've got a good showdown tonight between the Steelers and the Chargers. I just don't buy the Texans long term. I just don't. Is that a little bit of bias because I hate them? Yes, possibly. That could play into it a little bit. But honestly, I just don't think they're good enough to go and make a deep run in the playoffs. It's just my opinion. You can say whatever you want. That's just me. Jets, Titans. Yo, Titans. Phony baloney. They fell backwards into this win. The Jets are terrible. And they were really having their way with the Titans in that first half. And then they just let it slip away. And, you know, it is what it is. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Cue the fin skill. Marcus Mariota's amazing. Leads him on the comeback trail. Whoa. Marcus Mariota is not that good. And you know what? I'm ready. You know, if we're going to be getting all over Blake Bortles' stuff and being all mad about him, you know what? Let's talk about Marcus Mariota, okay? Yes, he has like 70% completion percentage, but he threw I believe at this point he threw 2 touchdowns today. Okay, notwithstanding the 2 touchdowns, he has thrown 9 touchdowns all year. In 13, at week 13, 9 touchdown passes. You know what, Jared? There's a new Alex Smith in town, and his name is Marcus Mariota. Okay? You can't tell me that Marcus Mariota is some franchise quarterback when he's throwing dink and dunk and dink and dunk, and these Titans are like 6-6 now, and they're not contenders. They're not going to make the playoffs because they can barely beat the Jets in the last seconds of a game at home. So don't tell me that the Titans are some sort of threat and that there's some sort of impressive thing going on in Tennessee. It's not impressive. I don't know why they fired poor what's his name? Who's the Mike Mularkey. Poor Mike Mularkey takes the Titans to the second round of the playoffs. The first time in the playoffs in forever, and they go to the second round and lose to the Patriots, right? I think it's the Patriots. Patriots to the Chiefs. And then they fire him. Like, hey, congratulations, Mike, you're fired. So they bring in Mike Vrabel, and they're 6-6, and they look really mediocre and not that great. So, congratulations, Tennessee. Looks like nothing interesting at all is going on over there. Kansas City and Oakland. Kansas City played well. Oakland played really well. I was impressed. I think Gruden's starting to get to them. I think they're finally starting to play well. And this is a good time for them to play well because they don't mean anything. The wins don't mean anything. And if they lose, it's like, great, we're still one step closer to the number 1 pick. So, Raiders played well. I think you got to be encouraged by that. And Patrick Mahomes puts up 4 billion yards and 4 touchdowns. Travis Kelce does amazing things. And you've got another Chiefs win. Not much to say about this game. Not much to say about the Chiefs right now. I'm not impressed by it. I'm not interested by it. It's just a game where they won, where they had to win. But it was a little closer than I expected. Vikings, Patriots. Vikings, I don't know how to read them. I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to make of the Vikings. The defense is pretty good. The offense is not that good. The Patriots came to play. It was a weird game. It was really up and down. James White made a big imprint on this one with just the checkdowns. Tom Brady to James White, just little checkdowns, are just killing teams. And it opens things up for him. I don't think either team was that amazing. I think the Patriots, the most impressive part of this game was the Patriots defense showed up and played fantastic. So I think if you're looking at this game, biggest takeaway, Vikings didn't show up, got shut down. And I'm worried about them long term for this season because you had a lot of hype coming in with the Kirk Cousins signing. And the problem doesn't lie necessarily with Kirk Cousins. What I saw, he was under duress a lot throughout the game. Dalvin Cook continues to look pretty good, though. I think if Dalvin Cook can run the way he's been running, this team can start to kind of find its momentum again. It needs to find something because they've kind of fallen off track. I know there was a big win last week against the Packers, but the Packers aren't very good. Obviously, we can tell after today's bimbo loss to the Arizona Cardinals. Rip to Mike McCarthy. Good luck moving forward for him. He had a nice run. Finally, we've got the Seahawks 49ers. Tears for 49ers fans. But, it was tears for them when Jimmy Garoppolo was knocked out of week 3. So I think we knew that this was coming. Nick Mullins threw for over 400 yards. I mean, it was garbage yards. But the 49ers honestly kept this close for a while, especially in the first half. They just couldn't get out of their own way. They kept fumbling the ball and throwing picks and just doing the dumbest stuff to keep the Seahawks at an arm's distance. And finally, Seattle took off with it and finished them off 43-16. Richard Sherman's return was nothing. Meant nothing. Tonight we got Steelers-Chargers. They just kicked off. I think Steelers will probably take this one, but I think it'll be close. The Chargers are good. The Chargers are really good, and I think it's time to give them more respect than I think we're giving them. Phillip Rivers is awesome. I would like to see Phillip Rivers do something with his career because he's kind of done nothing as a form of getting to the playoffs and making a difference there. Obviously, he's had a wonderful career regular season-wise and passing-wise, but let's see him win in the playoffs. I would like to see that. And then we got Redskins, Eagles tomorrow. Nobody cares about either of those teams. They both suck. They're mediocre. Not going to do anything. So let's look at the playoffs. Look at the standings real quick. Before I shudder down on this Week 13 look. You know, AFC East, as always, we've got the Patriots. The Dolphins won, moving back to 500. Looking to snag a wild card spot. You know, you got your Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Chiefs right now as your top 4 teams in the AFC. That's what your teams would look like in the playoffs. I think, well, you know, Steelers need this win tonight in order to keep Baltimore away, because Steelers lose. They're 7-4-1, half game ahead of Baltimore. And you know those Baltimore-Pittsburgh games can go either way every time they play. So, some interesting things happening. The AFC is pretty cut and dry outside of that wild card spot. And for the NFC, Dallas is trying to make a run here for that NFC East now with a huge win. Easily, probably the biggest win for any team this year when it comes to keeping momentum and playoff hopes alive. Not only playoff hopes, divisional hopes. They're in the lead right now, half game ahead of Washington. Depending on how tomorrow's game goes, they could have a 1-game lead over Eagles and Redskins. But, you know, NFC North, despite the loss, Chicago still has a good hold on that divisional lead. Saints got the NFC South locked up now with the Panther loss. And the Rams clinch the NFC West with a Seattle. And despite the Seattle win, they still clinch it back-to-back for them. So, if we're looking at the wild card outlook here, you got to figure in the AFC. In the AFC, you've got the Ravens up top, 7-5, and then behind them in the hunt, with the Chargers holding down this 5th spot, you've got Miami at 6-6, Tennessee at 6-6, Indy at 6-6, and Denver at 6-6. Out of those 4 teams in the hunt, I give Denver the best chance to catch the Ravens. I love the way Denver's playing right now. I've never been a Denver fan, but doggone it, I'm not an idiot, and I'm trying to keep it as unbiased as possible. Honestly, I think the Denver Broncos make the playoffs because Lamar Jackson, I don't trust him. He's a rookie quarterback. As much as I don't really care for Case Keenum, I think he's a good, solid quarterback. He's a veteran, and he's been there before. Jackson has not been there before. He got hurt today. He's going to get hurt again. With 4 games left, he runs recklessly. This isn't college. You got RG3 waiting in the wings, who they're just not going to throw it with. They brought him in, and they just kept running it because they don't trust him. And Joe Flacco's hurt with his hip, and it's just there's a lot of questions there despite the solid defense play and special teams. Dolphins are a joke. They're mediocre as all get out. Same with the Colts and the Titans. So I think it paves the way for Denver to make it. 3 teams out of the AFC West. And, yeah, NFC, golly, what do you say about the NFC? You know, you got the Rams, Saints, Bears, Cowboys right now. Wild card is Seattle, Carolina, Minnesota, and then Washington and Philly got it up for grabs. I think Seattle easily grabs that 5th spot. I don't think any of these other teams really pose a threat. That 6th spot, golly, you know, the Buccaneers might work their way back into that conversation. You got the Panthers, Vikings. I think the Vikings get it, but barely. I think it's like comes down to week 17 that they're able to nab that last playoff spot. Here's the deal with the Vikings. If the Vikings can pull it together, they're a team you don't want to see in the playoffs because theoretically they have a really good defense, and Dalvin Cook's getting healthier by the week, and you've got the best wide receiving duo with Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. I think Kyle Rudolph is an underrated tight end. If Kirk Cousins can pull it together and start playing really well, I think the Vikings not only get into the playoffs, not only get the wild card spot, but they move into at least the 2nd round. And that's That's my thought process on the whole outlook for the playoffs in the NFL picture. If you think differently, please comment on the video. Subscribe. This has been the Fast Break Kids. Make sure you tell everyone you know. We need to hit 150 subscriptions by the end of the month. And if we do that, we'll have another giveaway. Jared, they got a sweet nasty woman shirt that we're giving away. We're going to sign it as well. It'll be worth a lot once we hit 1 million subscribers down the line, because that's going to happen totally. For Jared, who is right behind me, for myself, I'm Wiley Lewis. This has been the Fast Break Kids. Keep it clean, keep it fresh, keep it fun. We'll see you next time, guys.